Welcome back to Marketing Connected. I'm your host, Xin Ying, and this is Agency Agenda, a show that puts the mic in front of agency leaders, diving into how they navigate the ever-evolving advertising and PR landscape. We have in the studio with us today Barby K. Siegel, Global CEO of Zeno Group, who has been leading the integrated communications agency for 16 years now, since 2009. Prior to this, she was the managing director for Ogilvy PR for 6 years, and she also spent 11 years at Edelman as deputy general manager. Zeno boasts global clients spanning consumer, technology, and healthcare, and prides itself as a data-driven storyteller. Thanks for joining me here in the studio today, Barby.
So happy to be here. Thank you.
And in Singapore, nonetheless.
I'm loving it. This is probably my third time in Singapore. So really enjoy being here and seeing teams and clients and soaking up this beautiful culture.
And I heard you were just in Malaysia as well,
Yes,
making
I
your
was.
rounds.
I was with our team in Kuala Lumpur, and I'll be here now till the middle of next week. You know, you can truly be a global person or understand global business if you're not physically on the ground here. Just being here, even understanding the time zone, it really makes a difference. So I like to come back at least once a year if I can.
And also it gives you a better feel of how the team is working on the ground, what the challenges they're facing, and how you can better support them.
Yeah.
So just to take a quick reflection on the year that has passed, I know a lot has happened. We've had Trump's tariffs, we've had the ongoing conflicts and wars. What has it been like operating the business in such an environment this year?
You know, the last couple of years have been challenging. I think there are a lot of external forces that we can't control that took its toll on business, on our mental well-being, uncertainty for clients. I think at the same time, it elevated the role of communications and made us even more important as partners to our clients who were navigating challenges that maybe they didn't have a particular playbook for.
It's a very interesting perspective.
And, you know, for us to be side by side with our clients, helping them, that was very meaningful. And, you know, as being a leader, it can also be lonely. So we really want to be there for our clients to develop ideas together and to support them. So the last couple of years have been challenging, lots of change, and I know we're going to get into that. I will say that this year, and we're on a fiscal year, so we're at the beginning of our second quarter, we have returned to growth, particularly here in the Asia Pacific region. We have returned to double-digit growth.
Wow, amazing.
So we're very excited. We feel that for a whole host of reasons, and I'm sure we'll get into, we're on the right path and really delivering the work that clients need most.
Can we maybe just tap into that a little bit? So you mentioned double-digit growth. How did that come about, and what were some of the changes or plans put in place to make this happen?
You know, I think we've just been very focused on what our clients need at this moment, making sure we have the right skills, capabilities, talent, looking in the mirror a bit and reflecting, is what we're doing good enough? Do we need different types of talent? You know, I often say to the teams that we've had a terrific run over the last 16 years. We've had a lot of growth over the years. But that playbook is not the playbook for today because the world has changed so much. So I think being honest with ourselves about where we need to make some changes, where we really want to double down. I think data and analytics is a really good example of where we've invested in talent. We've opened a data and analytics hub in India, for example. We recently, we worked for the last several years on developing a new client model in terms of how we put our teams together in order to provide clients with real-time data, much more speed, much more agility. So it's really been about, I like to talk about client centricity, that everything we do is in service of what clients need or what we think they might need down the road versus, well, this is a really good idea and we're just going to do it because it sounds good. If it's not right for the clients and it's not right for our business. And we take great pride on being good listeners, really hearing what our clients are navigating, what the challenges are. And again, making sure that our work has real business impact, that they can walk into their CEO or their teams and say, because we worked on this, we've been able to deliver that.
So it's also, in a way, metaphorically speaking, how like a brand looks to their consumers and go, what would my consumer like to consume as a product? Maybe it's coffee or something. And then you make tweaks along the way to make the product a bit better,
Right.
suiting the customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So as we look into 2026, the next year ahead, what's at the top of Zeno's global agenda? What are some of the key focus areas driving the agency's next phase of growth? I know you touched on that a little bit, but maybe we can dive a little bit deeper. Because I hear the group also has some sort of a 2030 vision.
Yes,
Tell
we
us more
do.
about it.
So a lot. I mean, I think as we look today and look ahead, what we most want to be are trusted advisors to our clients. We want to be the people standing shoulder to shoulder with them, helping to solve real business challenges. At the same time, as we get into Clarity 2030, and I will explain what that is, we think there's a real opportunity for communications and communicators to move from managing the message to be real drivers of strategic growth. You know, that is a real elevation of what we do. And then we look at all the areas of our business that are growing: digital, creator, data and analytics, strategy, creative. Employee engagement is incredibly important. There's so much focus by our clients, rightfully so, on the people, you know, making sure that they are communicating with their own people, that they are the best ambassadors they can be. So those are all areas that we have continued to invest in, that clients are buying and needing. Also issues and crisis. Lot of geopolitical matters in the world, and some of them do impact the business. So those are some of the things that we are focused on. You asked about Clarity 2030,
Yes.
which is a brand new initiative that I will tell you that we are launching here for the first time. So Clarity 2030 is, I talked a little bit earlier about being very client centric and listening to our clients. And Clarity 2030 was really born out of our clients asking us to help them anticipate what is coming around the corner. You know, it's not enough today to say, this is what I need to do today. You also need to be prepared for tomorrow, because the world is changing so quickly.
Yeah.
So much, from AI to multiple generations in the workplace to Gen Z and millennials, lots of forces. So we thought it would be really interesting to set a moment in time, which is 2030, kind of an important year when you think about strategic planning, and talk to clients about whether they are ready for these continuing changes. So it's about really asking a provocative question: are you ready? And it's not about instilling fear. It's about giving clients a bit of a roadmap to say, how am I approaching earned media? How am I approaching AI? How am I approaching training? And it's also putting, if you will, knowledge and power into the hands of communicators so they can wield even more influence inside their organizations, so they can go to their leaders and say, this is what we're seeing today, but this is what's coming, and we want to be ready.
So it's also putting the question back onto the clients as well, right? Like to reflect on the objectives behind why they're doing what they're doing. There was this point you mentioned about your team being the drivers of strategic growth. What does that actually mean?
You know, when I started my career a while ago, communications was not what it is today. We have the ability today to really draw a line between what we do as communicators and the impact on business, whether it's selling more shoes, selling more cans of soda, or protecting a corporate reputation. Through data and technology, we're able to show the impact. That was not always the case. And I think when you have that ability, you can also contribute to the growth of a business. So it's not just creating the messaging that is important, but it's going further and being able to have that impact on an organization.
Right. So building on that as well, Zeno has built a strong reputation for earned-led creativity and purpose-driven communications. How do you see these pillars evolving in the next couple of years as the industry, as you mentioned, continues to change so rapidly?
Well, I'm so glad you asked about earned. I think that is one of the most profound changes in the last couple of years and will be going further. I mean, earned media, of course, is the core of what public relations and communications people do. I think over the last several years, there was a little bit of a movement with agencies doing other types of work, creative work and paid media and so forth. But nothing replaces earned media because you can't buy trust. You have to earn it. But with the advent of AI and the LLMs, what we know is that they get their information largely from earned media. And so if you're searching for a trip to Japan, I want to buy a new laptop, I'm looking for a recipe, the LLMs are pulling it from the earned media. So that earned media needs to be accurate and direct. So that is incredibly important. And so we talk about that we're really in sort of a golden age now of earned. And as important, we know that public relations and earned media has always been about that third party advocacy. It's more powerful what somebody else says about you, that authenticity. So we have evolved our own media in a couple of ways globally. There's the traditional media that they're all very familiar with, but really around the world, there are these emerging platforms, podcasts like we're here today, and newsletters. And it's, we call it emerging media, but frankly, I think that's not even the right term. The media is here. It has emerged. And we know that a podcast or a newsletter can drive even bigger coverage. So that's really exciting for us to put that very much in the forefront. And then we use our other tools, paid media, creators, to amplify and go further.
That really, especially when you mentioned about LLMs and how it's changing how earned media looks. Maybe can we just get a little bit more with that? Because I think that's on everyone's mind about how AI is going to disrupt or innovate. There's always two sides of the coin there. But it's on top of everyone's mind. Everyone's like, how am I supposed to evolve with this evolution of tech? And with, like you say, LLMs, and you have to change it so that the LLM gets to pull it.
Well, now it's funny, we were talking before, you're creating, if you are writing a press release, for example, in many ways, you're writing it for the machine because that's the content the LLMs are going to pull. Yeah. So we've created a tool at Zeno called GeoFluent, which helps companies, clients understand how they are showing up in the LLMs.
And it's under like the GEO.
Under GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, in case people don't know. So that's very exciting. That gives us the analysis of how a company or a CEO is showing up. And then we're able to work with our clients on how to make sure that the information is accurate and showing up in the right ways. So, I know a lot of people are worried about AI and fearful of it. Of course, change can be a little unsettling, but in many ways, I think this makes it such an exciting time for what we do because all these tools allow us to be more precise. It used to be in public relations that you hope somebody reads that article or sees that television segment. We really didn't have a way to know before the data explosion, if you will. Yeah. Now we know. And now the CEOs that we're working with, we can actually pinpoint the impact.
So it's more direct.
It's more tangible. It's not like, well, I think people are reading this. I'm not really sure, but there are so many ways we do message testing to understand what messages will provoke somebody to take an action. So all that, I think, I like to talk about the art and science of what we do. There is still the art, there's the human instinct, which AI can never replace, but the data does give us the science.
And the PR industry is in the midst of transformation, shifting, like how we've been discussing. AI, like we just talked, creative partnerships, you mentioned as well, and real time storytelling. Everything's changing how brands communicate to consumers, to audiences. So, how is Zeno preparing for these shifts as part of Clarity 2030?
So I think Clarity 2030 really is the culmination of a lot of work we've done. We have been working over the last several years to think about how will AI help us be faster, more nimble, but more impactful. Again, we always come back to that word impact. We're not big believers in creating products for the sake of a splash. We want that splash to be about client impact. But one thing we have done, which I think you'd find interesting, so for a lot of our clients, and I'm speaking globally now, here in Asia, but certainly around the world, a lot of our brands want to be in the conversation of the day, part of pop culture. And so we've created something called the AI Hive. And the hive we've always had a hive mentality, which is how can we hive off what's happening to insert a brand, a client in an unexpected way. Now the AI Hive allows us to predict what a story might be before it hits.
Predictive
Analytics. So we work with lots of different brands. With the AI Hive, we get this early warning, if you will, of this story is going to trend. And then we can say, okay, so what should we do? How do we insert our brand in it? And then next year, we have a 2.0 version of that, which is very exciting, which will take us even further. So that is something that clients have responded really well to, but doesn't mean that we don't need human in the loop, as they say, and human intervention.
Right.
For me, AI is all about giving us that start.
Or the insights.
The insights, giving us more to work with and use our imagination around versus, oh, the AI Hive said this, I'll just send it off.
Yeah.
It needs that extra. I mean, I know even in my own writing, and I love to write, I'll write something, I'll give it to AI, it'll come back, it'll be better, but then I always want to put my imprint on it. So that's one way that our sort of brand storytelling has evolved. Frankly, a different way to create news. That's a lot of what we do, particularly for the consumer products that on their own may not be inherently newsworthy. You need to create it. I think this Hive system allows us to look out there to see what's being talked about so that we can lean into that. What's buzzing before it starts buzzing.
Yes.
What's getting ready to buzz.
Literally the hive itself.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So on that same note and line, right? Many agencies are rethinking what integration means. And how is Zeno redefining integration in the PR, marketing, and digital space with the agenda moving forward in the years to come?
It's a great question. For me, I think the word integration is a bit overused. You see it everywhere. And it's kind of lost a little bit of its meaning. What we did a couple of years ago is thought, what does integration mean in the world in which we are now based on what clients need? So we did reimagine integration into this new team, this new client team model that I think I might have mentioned, which is bringing together at the core of our teams, data and analytics, strategy, and creative, together with client leaders who bring real business acumen, understanding of the client's business and the industry that we're in. So that start of our team is integrated right from the start. And then we bring specialists in. It might be an earned media person. It might be somebody who does creator. And the reason that model is so important is because clients want, and we believe clients should have, greater access to the data that's driving the insights, that's driving the ideas. It used to be a traditional agency model is generalist account management. Everybody kind of does everything. This makes the teams more focused, leaner, which is good. You don't have to have giant teams to be effective. And it also used to be episodic. I'll bring the creative person in when I need the creative person. I'll bring the strategist in when I need. I always say, you get the hand. I don't need you now. But that's not really an effective model for the world in which we're living, where the stakes are so high, where speed is of the essence. So our reimagined integration is our integrated team model that starts with those capabilities, and then we put we bring on the specialist talent depending on what the brief is. And the feedback from our clients has been very positive. They like to see the more focused effort. They like to see that we're leaner, that there aren't 12 people on a phone call, that they are getting the people they really need on their business. And those people thinking about their business every day, because the world is changing every day. You can't jump in and out.
Yeah. I can't imagine being on a phone call with 12 people at once. That sounds really scary.
But that is
to be
it's an
what it
outdated
was.
model. It was, what it was. Being a generalist is really how the industry was built. Everybody did everything.
Would you say then the word integration in today's age of PR is kind of a given? Like it should already have been integrated,
right.
essentially.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not that new. It's not that interesting. So we're excited about how we're defining it. It's working for us.
So looking at talent and culture as well, you mentioned leaner teams. That's making it more efficient for how Zeno's working. So what kind of skill sets or mindsets will define the next gen of Zeno professionals in the coming years? Like you mentioned, you're looking for more specialists in media buys, in creative. So what does that mean for the talent?
So we did some research around Clarity 2030 across the region. We spoke to communicators and we asked them a series of questions. One of the questions was around skill set. So in this research, according to communicators across the region, APAC, the 3 areas that communicators think will require the most focus are AI and emerging technology, digital and new media platforms, and data and analytics. But so those are kind of expected, right? Given what we're talking about. So then they would then ask, well, what do you think in the future the most valuable human skill will be? Do you want to take a guess?
I feel like I'm going to be shocked. I feel like it's creative.
You're right. Very good.
Oh,
Creativity.
interesting.
Yeah.
So people are still thinking that in the future, that's what they need to have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really validates that creativity is an important part of solving business challenges. So we love that. And
Yes.
creativity could be what we call big creative, big billboards and TV commercials. But I always like to think of creativity as those extra touches throughout when you're looking at something and you think, could I do that in a little bit of a different way, make it a little bit better? And then there was also another very interesting finding in terms of skills. It was number 5 on the list. We were having a debate before. Some people think it should have been higher. I just think this is interesting. Managing division. And actually, a client of mine recently wrote a LinkedIn post, and she said that she never thought diplomacy would be such an important characteristics of communicators. But when you think about it, the role of the communicator in an organization has become so broad. He or she touches every aspect of the business. And yes, we do live in a polarized society. There are lots of different opinions. So I thought that was really interesting. But those are all very human attributes that you can't necessarily turn over to a machine.
I wouldn't instinctively think of diplomacy or managing divisions, but now that you mention it, it's just like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
that clicks.
Yeah. And again, it just all goes to what it means to be a communicator today. It's impactful. There's a lot of depth. There are a lot of aspects to it. And again, I come back to it's a real business imperative. It's not, oh, that's nice to have.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a must have. Words matter. Words bring people together. Words inspire you to take action.
Such a nice closing line. But unfortunately, I do have one more question.
And I have a better closing line. So go on. Maybe this will be the answer to your question.
So lastly, my final question for you, Barbie. What personally excites you most about the future of communications?
I was hoping you would ask that question. Look, I love what I do. I always have. I'm a big believer in finding joy in work. If you don't get up excited every day to go to work, it's probably not the right work for you. But in this very moment, we are reinventing and we are trying new things and we are saying, what if and why not? And if somebody had been, I've been at Zeno for 16 years, as you said, if somebody who had been at Zeno left, let's say for 5 or 6 years, and they came back and they looked back in, they may not recognize us. Not because our values have changed, that's a constant. Our culture is a constant, but the way we operate, the products, the technology, the mindset around how we work with clients, it's exciting. And I want to be part of this evolution and moving to a new place. And one of the things I talk to the teams about all the time is this is a moment to evolve and experiment and try new things. And I guess the very last thing I would say is, in many ways, this is our moment. As Zeno, privately held, family owned, not distracted by all the mergers and consolidations.
Yeah.
And this is our moment because communications has such an important role to play in our world, in our business world, in our society, in culture, to hopefully bring people together and move always towards something better.
This is really the age of change, innovation, but also, as you mentioned, it's so exciting because, you know, yourself, the group is putting out so many new solutions and tech. So we're really excited to see what comes next.
Well, I will come back. I hope you'll invite me back and I can report in on how it's all going.
Sure, we'll do a review.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe in 2030 or right before that. And on that note, thank you so much, Barbie, for joining me here today for this episode.
Thank you for having me.
And to the listeners out there, fear not. Although this interview with Barby K. Siegel is over, we've got loads of other episodes you can catch on our Marketing Connected channel and YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Marketing Interactive's social media pages on Telegram, Instagram, and LinkedIn to get alerts on new podcast episodes. Once again, thank you for tuning in to Marketing Connected, brought to you by Marketing Interactive.